Hi there, this is Chris Kellett with museGrid.com. We're going to take a look at the library installer widget, which is part of the museGrid Spring Pack, which is a free pack of widgets available from museGrid.com, and some of the individual items are also available in the add-ons market. So let's just open up our library panel here and drag that page out, and let's take a look at this widget. Now when it renders onto the page, you'll notice it has this banner here that disappears when you render the page, so when you're in preview mode or when you publish the site. So that's just in design mode, and it just tells you what widget it is and where it is. So we'll place that app out of the way here, and you can do that with any of the widgets that have would usually just show a little code icon. This at least tells you what each one is, so you can so that you can use it easily. Let's take a look at the settings here. Now this is quite an unusual widget because it doesn't initially give you functionality on the page like you might wish. So this is really for people that want to expand Muse more with code and want a simple way of being able to inject some code into the page. Then this tool's for that. So it could be when you're prototyping or when you're demoing stuff or just trying stuff out that this comes in handy. But to be honest with you, for the design orientated Muse user, this widget is probably not something you would use every day. So what does it actually do? Well, we can include a couple of different libraries here, such as the Bootstrap Libraries from Twitter, and these are libraries of code. Let's take a look at those. If we open up our browser here and we type in Bootstrap and do a search, we don't want actually the Bootstrap CDN. Let's try again. We'll see that the Bootstrap library is a set of components and CSS styles that allow us to do lots of different kind of things with code and with inputs and buttons and typography and all sorts of other things. So it's very code orientated, but the reason why we've included this is because you may want to use some of this code in conjunction with some of the, let's say, the font awesome icons and so on, and to be able to use these codes on your site, and this allows you to install that code very quickly on the page. We have the so this will install the Bootstrap CSS and JavaScript, and you can also include, once you've included Bootstrap, you can switch the JavaScript on, and when you can also include the Fuel UX library. Let's just take a look at that, Fuel UX. Now you would need to work a bit harder to actually get some of these components on the page because they're not widgets as such, they're code that you would need to embed in the page, but they allow you to do lots of different things with widgets and buttons. So this really is for the kind of the more of the coder though, just to bear that in mind. However, one of the parts of the tool that you may like to use is this code adder here. So when we're adding content into our site, we may be asked at some point, let's say for instance we've got an embed and they want you to place that embed in the head section of your site. So if we preview the page here, we'll see where that is on the page source. So in HTML, now we don't want to get too much into coding, but this part here, this head section, is usually where you put links to your CSS styles, because all of this will load up before your page loads. Hopefully it'll load up before your page loads, and then that's how you get your site to look nice when it loads up, because of the CSS and controls that are in here. So the code library, if you need to put that into the page here, you could always use the page properties here, and you could go into metadata and you could put it in the HTML for the head, but this just gives you a quick and easy way to do that. However, with regards to adding code to the body, now that's a slightly different matter because there isn't an easy way of doing that in Muse currently, so that's when this widget really comes into its own. So if we take a look at that code again, show the page source, and if you're not used to looking at code, I apologize, but hopefully this will make a bit of sense to you. So we see here one of the main things that Muse uses is Jquery, and Jquery is a way of having JavaScript simple or even complex parts of JavaScript on the page, things like animations for our sliders and different widgets. So jQuery is installed here, but notice it's installed at the end of the page. So the rest of the page loads, and then this page comes in last. This part comes in last, and then we have the various Muse utilities and other such code loading into the footer. Now there's lots of really cool plugins for jQuery. If we just did a search, and I don't want to take people too far out on their depth, but let's take a look at jQuery plugins, and we have plugins here for all sorts of things, for sliders, for animations, incredible things that you can do with jQuery. But you want to install those plugins after the jQuery has loaded, so you would of course want that code. If we go back to if we preview this again, sorry, let's go back to our code here. You would want these plugins to load after the initial jQuery loads up. So that would load, and then your code would be in here. So this plugin allows you, this widget allows you to put links to those scripts into that page and to load them up below the jQuery. So it's quite a useful code, but obviously aimed at more of the developer code type of Muse user. So we wanted to include that because we do use it when we're testing things out, and we thought it was a useful widget to include in the pack, and it's free after all. So if you need to watch this video again, if you click on the widget itself, click on Help and Tutorials, you'll get straight into our help page. Thanks for watching.